It's time to live your stronger life. Hey, I'm Sammy, physio coach and nutritionist, and your hype girl for creating your stronger life. Here, we ditch the quick fixes and build real strength inside and out. So whether you're here to tone up, drop the body fat, build muscle, mental resilience, or ditch the diet culture, or just feel bloody good in your skin, you're in the right place. So let's get into it.
Have you ever picked up a protein bar that says 25% protein and thought, boom, amazing, I'm about to get 25 grams of protein, this is a high protein bar, let's go, it's a great choice, only to look at the nutritional label later and realize, oh shit, it is not helping my protein goals at all. Just because something contains protein on the label doesn't mean it's a good protein source, and today in this episode I am going to show you exactly how these food labels can trick you. Now, before I start breaking all of this down and why, you get this mislabeling on the protein bars and the protein foods, if you enjoy the food and you like it and it's a tasty snack, eat it. I'm not saying any of these foods are good or bad. There are no right or wrong foods. Even these bars that I'm saying say high protein and are actually shit on protein, they can still be incredibly tasty snacks. And if you are hitting a high amount of protein throughout the day, then these lower protein snacks are totally fine to have. Have what you like, make sure it fits within your plan. But if you are going, I want to pick this bar because it has protein, then knowledge is power, and that may not be the best option for you. But if you're going, I'm picking this bar because it's tasty and I like it, go for it. It's totally fine. Knowledge is power. Don't come at me if you're like, oh, but I love this protein bar, because I know people will. It's fine. Because even still, I still recommend to my ladies to have a little snacky bar if it helps to tide you over and it gives you a nice little sweet treat. It is absolutely fine. But I just want you to understand that just because you see 25% on the label doesn't necessarily mean that it is a high protein bar, and what that all actually means. It is one of the most misunderstood things, because right now you see it on all your foods. High protein, 25% protein, and most people just assume that that is the best choice possible. But just because something contains protein or claims to be high in protein doesn't mean it's a good quality source of protein or it's an efficient source of protein per calorie for your goals. Good source of quality protein, because sometimes they're going to use ingredients that yes have protein in it, but as a quality, when you compare the digestion and the absorption and the way that it responds in your body, doesn't necessarily make it a high quality source of protein. For example, eggs, dairy, meat, high quality source of protein, full amino acid profile, and also really well absorbed and digested in your body. Some other sources of protein, usually coming from grains, are not as complete sources of protein, therefore not as high quality, not as much bang for your buck, and sometimes they just cause you more calories than the protein, and then it's not even worth it. So I'm going to show you how to tell the difference using real bars from the shops, real numbers, and a few simple tricks that you can use forever. Now, if you are listening to this on the podcast, I have done a YouTube video version of this. So go jump on my YouTube, sammy.livestrong, and you will be able to actually watch this video on the bars. But I'm going to tell you which ones anyway. So if you're listening, you will totally get a lot of value out of this anyways. So why do we care about our protein? I mean, we all know protein matters because it plays a huge role in muscle building, recovery, satiety, your metabolism, blood sugar control, and just your overall health. And then if you are choosing one bar over another bar and, purely because, I'm getting more protein in it, then that's the problem. And some of these bars are just really high calorie snack bars with the label of protein in it. And if you're I'm only choosing it for that reason, that's where you could be falling short. It's not that they're a better choice, but just choose the one that you enjoy and have the knowledge of why you're choosing those particular snacks. So why do these high protein claims, how can they happen? How can these foods do this? Well, there are regulations. In Australia and New Zealand, food brands don't have to make a high protein claim, but if they choose to, they have to follow certain standard codes. But these standards, there's pretty easy ways around it so they can get that high protein marketing label, so then it makes you want to buy it over the non-labeled high protein option. So here's what it means in more simple terms. So to be considered a good source of protein, it must contain at least 10 grams of protein per serve. Have you noticed how every single protein bar is always 10 grams of protein? Because they're putting the minimum amount of protein necessary in, and then just they're able to label it as a protein bar as soon as they hit that 10 gram mark. To make a basic protein claim to say, it's got protein in it, then it must contain at least 5 grams of protein per serve, which is like shit all. And then if they want to say an increased or a more protein than, their usual version of the bar or the snack or the food, then it must contain 25% more protein than the reference food. And then if they can also say like 25% protein, and that means that 25% of the total calories of that product is protein. But if it's like a 500 calorie product, 25% is like shit all with the protein anyways. So the 25% makes you think 25 grams of protein, but it doesn't actually mean 25 grams of protein, which is a stitch up. So they're the reasons why these foods can label themselves as protein, but not actually necessarily be a high source of protein. Same as like they could say this is a good source of protein because we have 10 grams per serve, so we tick that label off, but we ain't telling you that it's actually 300 calories, so therefore the protein to calorie ratio is really shit. So there are the rules, but it does not mean the bar is efficient, filling, and it's not useful for your goals. A strong protein source, like to say it's actually good, we want to look at relative to the calories. And so like when you see that 25% on the wrapper, most people think that means, it's mostly protein, but it just means 25% of the calories. And so it has more protein than maybe the similar bar, and they just put it on the label so it qualifies under their regulations, but it does not mean that it is protein dense. It does not mean that it is high quality protein per calorie and whether it's actually going to work for your body. So the real question that you should be asking is you need to flip it over and look at the nutritional panel and have a look and say, is this an efficient protein source for its calories? Is this helping me reach my protein target, or am I just choosing this as a tasty little snack? And that is totally fine. And like, how heavy is this bar? Like, am I about to eat a 30-gram bar for like 400 calories? And that's just such a waste of calories in my opinion for such a tiny little. Like, am I about to have 2 bites and just waste 300, 400 calories where I could have like a whole ass meal for that amount as well? That's another consideration that you want to make. But here is my sneaky protein trick. It is super duper simple. Don't overthink it, because I've posted this on Instagram before and people were just like, but how does this math work? And I'm like, don't stress. Don't overthink it. I promise you it works really freaking well. So take the grams of protein. You can do it per 100 grams or per serve. Like if you're looking at a protein bar, flip it over, have a look at it per serve, and whatever that protein number says, just add a 0. Literally just add a 0. We're doing math here. We're doing ratios. We're doing calculations, but I promise you just add a 0. Simple, done. Don't overthink it. So if it says 10 grams of protein, it's turning into 100. If it says 15 grams of protein, it's 150. 20 grams of protein, 200. Now you compare that to the calories. So if the bar has 10 grams of protein and 280 calories, we want, ideally, the protein number to be greater than or equal to the calories. So if it's 10 grams of protein and 280 calories, it's not an efficient source of protein. It can still be a tasty snack, fabulous, you're getting 10 grams of protein, but it's not an efficient source of protein. If you see a protein bar that has 15 grams of protein, so 150, and 190 calories, that is getting closer. That is a better protein bar to choose if you're wanting it for protein per calorie source. Now, if you find a protein bar that's 30 grams of protein, 300, and 260 calories, then 30 grams of protein, which is 300 now, is greater than 260, so it's a much more efficient source of protein, like per calorie. It's not perfect, but is a brilliant, like real world filter that you can use when you're having a look at different snacks. For example, think of, like, I always think Chobani yogurts, YoPros, they're always really easy to consider, right? For one of those tubs, it's like 95 calories and you're getting 15 grams of protein. 15 add a 0 is 150. For 95 calories, that means you are getting a really good dose of protein per calorie. So it is a very good source of protein. I'm not saying it's a good or bad snack. I'm just saying it's a good source of protein. Same as when you consider chicken, same as you consider meat, like egg whites. Egg whites are basically pure protein per calorie. So that ratio is going to be really good. So whenever you're thinking about, I want to pick a snack where I'm getting the most bang for my protein buck, if that is your focus, add a 0 to the grams of protein, and if that number is equal to or greater than the calories, then it's a good source of protein. If it's less than that, then realistically, you're picking a snack bar that's high in carbs and high in fats to balance it out. That is just as simple as you want to have a look at it when you are looking at the nutritional labels. And you can totally use that for all snacks. You don't just have to do it just for protein bars. You can do it for all foods even. So another example of when this is really good is if you're buying like, like chicken tenders or like chicken nuggets or stuff like that you get out of the freezer. That's how I pick what's a good or a better option. How many calories am I about to waste on this chicken per protein gram or whatever? Okay, so for example, let's talk about chicken breast strips, chicken tenders, or whatever you want to call it. So if we look at the Lilydale chicken strips, for per 100 grams, it's 153 calories and 16 grams of protein. So we go 16 grams of protein, add a 0, 160, 153 calories. The protein is just above that, so you're getting a little bit more protein bang for your calorie buck. Compared to, let's now compare it to, let's say, the Coles sweet chili chicken tenders. They are 14.5 grams of protein and 195 calories. So you add that to 145 compared to 195 calories. It's more calories than the protein. Therefore, it's not the most efficient source of protein when it comes to your chicken. So you're better off choosing the Lilydale chicken tenders. Now, if we jump into the Ingham's chicken breast tenders, the sweet chili ones, it is 10 grams of protein for 248 calories. So 10 out of 0. So you're getting the 100 for the protein and then 248 for the calories. That is almost double. That is a very ineffective or inefficient source of protein for that chicken. You are basically getting, it's double the carbs and fats. It's basically a carb and a fat with a sprinkle of chicken in the middle. So you're much better off getting the Lilydale chicken tenders, or chicken strips, sorry. So then you're at least getting a decent amount of chicken. There's more protein than there is carbs and fats in this particular option, and so that's going to make it a better option and more protein efficient for your calorie bang for your protein buck. Okay, so that is talking about the protein quality per calorie. Now let's talk about density, why size matters, because another thing that people ignore is the density. Some bars are so tiny, like you get those little bliss ball things, but they pack huge calories, and others are bigger, more filling, and similar calories, and that really matters. Small and dense bars are easy to overeat and they're less filling. Large, more volume, more satisfying. So don't just look at the calories, but have a look and compare how much the actual weight of the bar is. And that's also going to have an influence on, your satiety. I had one the other day and it was like 100 calories and I was like, sick, this looks so cute. Like it was good protein to calorie ratio and I didn't really factor in the size of it. And then I whipped it out and it was like this tiny little bar. It was like 2 bites and gone. And I was like, wow, that was not worth 100 calories. Like I would have rather just to eat something else. But I wanted to taste test it and try it out. And then I had a different one, which was the Cobb's popcorn one. Does not have protein in it, but it was actually like, because it's popcorn, it's very light, it actually was really huge. And I was like, this is so much more satisfying. I actually had it and I was like, dang, this actually was really satisfying. It was crunchy, it was bigger, and I was like, I'm very impressed. So the size and the weight of the food does actually matter when it is something else that you want to factor in. Another one is protein quality. It really matters. Not all protein is equal. Some bars rely heavily on gelatin and collagen, which is not a very good quality source of protein for building muscle. It's not a full amino acid profile, or they have low quality blends of proteins or tiny amounts of many sources. Yes, these technically all count as protein, but they're not as effective for muscle repair, muscle growth, or your satiety. Higher quality sources like whey, like milk proteins, soy, and complete plant blends. Complete wow, that was really hard to say. Complete plant-based blends are rice and pea combined in your proteins. That is another really good option as well. So protein quality does really matter. And if you're only getting a little bit from it, and it's taking up 5% of your protein in your day, it's not the end of the world. The issue is more than if it's making up 90% of your protein and it's all kind of crap quality. That's when it's an issue. But if 90% of your protein's high quality sources and a little bit of the fun, it's not the end of the world. You can get away with lower quality, but the higher quality, the better at the same time. All right, let's talk about some real world examples. So having a look at this new Muscle Nation high protein bar, it's actually pretty decent. It's got 30 grams of protein for roughly about 260 calories. That's pretty efficient. It's generally high protein. It's whey based mostly. So, it's actually pretty decent. Before people come at me, yes, there are a lot of ingredients on the bar, but some people will not have digestive issues. Some people will have digestive issues. Some people will love them. Some people will hate them. I'm just giving you the facts of the numbers. And yes, there are a lot of ingredients, but if it's not something that you're having all day, every day, you're having it one every now and then as a quick emergency snack, it is totally fine. Now let's have a look at some Carmen's protein bars. They're all very similar, which is handy. So then you can rotate the flavors and they're all quite similar calories and protein. They all give you about 10 grams of protein for about 190 to 200 calories. So it's not efficient for protein. It's more of a snack with a bit of protein brought in. 200 calories isn't the end of the world. It's getting up there with calories, but they're pretty damn tasty and they have so many yum flavors. So like, as a tasty little snack, go for it. As a protein bar, wouldn't really pick it up as a protein bar. Maybe if you combined it with like a Chobani yogurt or a Chobani Fit or a YoPro or one of those protein yogurts, that's going to give you a decent source then. That's like 25 grams of protein with two things mixed together for about 300 calories. Add some fruit in. That's not a bad snack. But on its own, as a protein bar, not fabulous, but the flavors are pretty unreal. So you get lots of different options. Now let's have a look at the Uncle Toby's protein muesli bars. They say 20% protein. Sounds impressive until you realize that it's 20% means 7 grams of protein per bar. That is barely more than a normal snack bar. So yes, it contains protein, but it is not a protein-focused snack. So for 7 grams of protein and about 140 calories, it's not really worth it for a protein bar, but as a snack bar, 140 calories, that's not too bad. You could definitely combine it with a few things as a tasty little snack. All right, now we have the nice and natural protein nut bars. They say 25% protein. So you're thinking, oh my God, 25 grams of protein, slay! But that's not actually accurate. Unfortunately, there is 8 grams of protein and it's about 170 calories. So if we do that little trick, 80 out of zeros, 8 out of 0 is 80 and then it's 170 calories. It's not anywhere near, it's literally half the amount. So I wouldn't call it a protein bar. It's giving you a sprinkle of protein. It's more just a snack bar. Again, it's under 200 calories. So it's not bad. And if you enjoy it, totally have it. But it's mostly a fat and a carb bar coming from the nuts and the seeds. It's not a bad food, but it's just not really a protein dense one. So here, it's not about shaming foods. This is really important. I'm not demonizing any foods. You can have any of these bars. They all have different jobs. Some are treats, some are snacks, some are actual supplements. Don't make these a meal replacement. But the problem happens when you're choosing them for the wrong job and you don't understand that. So knowledge is power, and then you can choose what you actually want to have. Okay, so here's another example. We've got the BSC high protein, low carb bar. And so for 205 calories, it is 19 grams of protein. So, that's close. It's almost on par. So per calorie ratio, whatever, and it's a 60 gram bar. That's actually pretty big compared to most bars as well. Most bars are usually like 40 grams. So 60 is even bigger. 200 calories, 20 grams of protein. It's actually a pretty decent source of protein. So, if you were reaching for something that was more protein heavy, it would be that. It's soy protein with milk protein as the two most primary ones. So it is a higher quality source of protein. But again, some people are going to be like, but there are so many ingredients on the label. Yes, these shouldn't be a staple in your diet, but you can just have them if you need a quick fix. If you're like, shit, I need a snack, I'm really low on protein, I need to get something in me, and it's an emergency, that is absolutely better than nothing at all. And once in a while, those ingredients are still fine for your body will handle it. It's not like you're having them all day every single day, so it is totally fine. But if you don't like all of those ingredients, then I am definitely going to give you an idea of one that has less ingredients in it in a second. First, I want to talk about the Masashi ones, because the Masashi ones have 45 grams of protein per bar, which is absolutely wild. I think they're probably the highest protein bars that are out there. So for 336 calories, you are going to get 45 grams of protein. So that protein to calorie ratio is wild. It is actually really, really good. But again, it doesn't have as many ingredients as many of the other protein bars, to be honest. And it is a combination of dairy, soy, and also collagen based. But, it is still pretty decent. There's not that many ingredients in it, to be honest. It's pretty wild, but it is very high calorie. So, you are about to spend 336 calories on 45 grams of protein on a protein bar. It is 90 grams of a protein bar, but honestly, I would much rather have, a tub of yogurt, some fruit, some nuts, something else, some chocky on top. There's so many other things I would rather eat than one protein bar for 336 calories. I'd rather just have a whole ass meal. But you're in a pinch, you need it, then go for it. Or if your calories are really high, you can fit it in. So that is another option, but that just goes to show you that there are some protein bars with better ratio. Oh, okay, I'm totally doing research while I'm podcasting, so that's why I'm like, oh, I found another one. BSC has one that has 48 grams of protein, high protein bar. It is 92 grams, like the actual weight of the bar, 48 grams of protein, 389 calories. That is officially the highest protein bar that I have found. The ingredients, like, there's a list, but it's actually like not that wild. Like, to be honest, it's not that bad. I understand every single thing that I'm reading on the label, so it's not too bad. But obviously, like, if you have this all the time, it could upset your tummy just because of some of the sugar alcohols and things like that. But it's not the end of the world if you had to grab it. But still, again, for 389 calories, I'd rather just have a whole ass meal, like a proper meal. But anyways, I digress. I did mention that I would talk about some that have slightly less crazy ingredients. So one that I know you can get from Coles and Woolies is the greenback protein bars, the plant-based ones. They don't have too many crazy ingredients. Like, it's very simple, pretty simple. Like, it is soy-based. Their protein to calorie ratio just still isn't that fabulous. Like, they're usually about, again, 10 grams of protein for 200 calories, very similar to the Carmen's ones. The Carmen's ones have pretty simple ingredients too, usually. So it is higher in carbohydrates than it is in protein, so it is more of a snack bar, but another fabulous option, not the end of the world. Like I said, everything's fine in their right moderations. Another really good one is you can't get them in those shops, so you got to get them online, but the Googies, Googs, they actually have very simple ingredients. All their flavors, all their ingredients pretty much are dates, almonds, cashews, egg whites, and then like a bit of whatever the flavor is. For example, the chocolate one is cacao powder and some sea salt. And so again, they're not still a fabulous protein to calorie ratio, but for 13 grams of protein, it's 210 calories, so it is getting closer. It's still higher in carbohydrates than it is in protein, so it's still more a snack bar because dates are the leading ingredient. But these are very, quote unquote clean because they're very simple ingredients, very least amount of processed. So these would be a fabulous snack bar to include if that is something that you also want to consider. You don't want to have all of the extra ingredients. That all of the ingredients are FDA approved, right? Like, they're all safe to have. They're all fine. Like, the Australian standards are quite high on foods. Like, they're safe for your body to have, especially in small moderation. But if you did want to pick something that was a little bit cleaner, then this is a really fabulous option, the GOOGS one. That is another one. So there's some different protein bars. I'm going way deep into this, and I'm not going to go through every single protein bar that is out there in the world, but that is a really nice example of some of the proteins that you can, some of the protein bars, understanding why that, they may say they're high in protein, but realistically they're not high in protein, and how that can be super duper misleading for someone who maybe doesn't have quite the same nutritional knowledge. So takeaways from this one is, next time you see high protein, high source of protein, 20% protein, whatever, pause, flip it over, have a little look-see, do the little zero check, add a 0 to the protein, compare it with the calories if you're wanting to choose it for a high protein source. Look at the grams of protein, the calories, the size, the fiber, the ingredients list, where's the protein coming from, and ask yourself, is this actually helping me with my goals? Is it worth the calorie bang for my protein buck? Is it worth spending my calories on that? Because sometimes I'll look at a snack bar and I'm like, dang, that looks yummy. But dang, I don't want to waste 300 calories on that. I'm going to just go and eat something else that's going to make me feel better for it, right? So it's not like protein, the marketing, it is what it is. Make the choice that fits right for you. It's not about what is perfect and right or wrong or anything like that. So I hope this has helped break down a little bit of the confusion. You don't need to be perfect with it. You choose the thing that suits best for you. If you like it, have it. It's totally fine. But now you're a little bit more informed about why you're making the certain choices. So if this helps, let me know, share it around, and I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks so much for listening. If you found this episode valuable, please rate, review, and subscribe. And I'd love if you shared this on your Instagram and tag me, Sammy_livestrong. And if you'd like to learn more about my coaching and join the Project Livestrong family, please message me, Livestrong, on Instagram, and I'll see how I can help. I'll see you next time.